On this problem, you have to do 2 plus 1 to get 3, square it to get 9, and multiply it by this 3. That's going to be 27. This is 3. 27 plus 3 is 30. On this one, you have to do 4 plus 18, which is 22, plus 14 would give you 36. Pick a number from 1 to 5. Winning number today is 5. Homework check. "19 out of 22, that's going to translate into 86%. Here are the answers. 1 is D, 2 is C, 3 is D, 4 is C, 5 is B, 6 is D, 7 is A, 8 is D, 9 is B, 10 is C. Today's objective: seeing structure and expressions. Interpret expressions that represent a quantity in terms of its context. Interpret parts of an expression such as terms, factors, and coefficients. Interpret complicated expressions by viewing one or more of their parts as a single entity. In other words, you're going to look at an expression such as words, and you're going to create an algebraic expression. And then vice versa. I'll give you the algebraic expression, and you have to write it out in words, what it would be. Here's an example. And example 1 has like 12 or 13 different slides, and they're not designed for you to have to hurry up and write them all down at one time. If you watch and play along with it, you'll pick up the pattern really quick, as opposed to if we just put one on the screen and gave a minute for everybody to write it down. All right, the difference of 5 and a number. Difference represents what operation? Subtraction. So there's the minus sign. What do I write first? 5. And then what do we let represent a number? X. So keep this in mind. Anytime you have the difference of two things, whatever's written first goes first. And then a variable, we'll just call it X. So 5 minus X. The difference of a number and 5 should be what? X minus 5 is right. The sum of a number and 4. So it would be X plus 4, right. The sum of a number and 4 is X plus 4. What about the sum of 4 and a number? 4 plus X, yes. The product. Product is the result of what operation? Multiplication. So normally you would put a times sign down, and then the product of the two numbers would be this, but what's our variable? This is why we don't write this in algebra, except for the order of operations problems. Just write 6x, that means 6 times x. 7 more than a number. More than means what?
Greater than.
In terms of an operation. Addition, yes. 7 more than. What side am I going to put the 7 on? Left or right? Right. Anytime it's 7 more than or 7 less than, if it's more than or less than, you start off on the right. So in this case, it's plus 7 on the right, more than a number x, so x plus 7. You could also say the sum of x and 7. That would be the same thing. Or the sum of a number and 7. 3 less than a number should be what? X minus 3, yes. This is why we want to keep them all on the right, it's including addition, even though with addition it doesn't change the value, is because when you get to subtraction, you can't put this on the left and the x on the right. If you did, you would have 3 minus x, and that's not the same thing. So that's why we're putting it on the right. The quotient. Quotient is the result of what operation? Division. Now normally we would write this, but for our problems in Algebra 1, we're going to use the fraction bar. The quotient of a number and 4. So what do I put on top? X, and on the bottom we put 4. So x over 4. With the quotient, just as in the product or the sum or the difference, whatever comes first, you put that first. The quotient of 4 and a number should be what? 4 over x, yes. The third power of a number. X to the third power, right. X to the power of 3. A number raised to the fourth power. X to the fourth power, right. The square root of a number. Square root of x. Square root sign with the x underneath of it. Square root symbol is this, and then of implies what's going to be underneath. X, square root of x. Now normally, or not normally, but what this really means is this. See the 2 out there on the left of the sign? That means it's a square root. But when you don't write anything out there on the sign, it means it's a square root. If I were to write any other number there, it means third root, fourth root, and so on. The third root of a number, and it's kind of hard to say this other than the cube root of x. So you have the third root of. Power means you're not going to have that sign. You're going to put something up to the upper right of the item. But the third root means you do have the square root sign, but it's not a square root now. It's a third root because you have to write that. Here's example 2. Now they're going to move up a little bit. We'll pick it apart a piece at a time. 3 times the quantity of the difference of a number and 6. Where should I start? Yeah.
3x.
We can start with 3, but we can't put an x next because it's 3 times something. What is 3 being multiplied by? Yeah.
The numbers after you get the difference between that number and 6.
Close. Yeah, you're right. And actually what he just said is right, but there's a shorter word. There's one word in there that 3 is being multiplied by. Yeah.
Difference.
No. Close. There's one word that 3 is being multiplied by in there. Yes, quantity. 3 times the quantity. To signify a quantity, what symbols do I use? Not an operation. It starts with a P. Parentheses. Yes, anytime you see the word quantity, you're going to have parentheses. So again, we have 3 times the quantity. So we have 3 up against a set of parentheses. Now we figure out what's inside the parentheses. 3 times the quantity of. And the of means it's letting you know what's coming into the parentheses now. The difference is what operation? And the difference of a number and 6, what goes first? And then 6. So that's what this means. 3 times the quantity of x minus 6. The more you do these, the easier it's going to get. The quantity squared of 6 less than a number. So I have the first words here, the quantity. What do I write? So what does the quantity mean? What do I write when I see quantity? Parentheses. The quantity what? Squared. So I put a squared symbol on the quantity. Of means we're going to find out what's inside of it. 6 less than a number is what? X minus 6. Yeah, so here's the quantity squared of x minus 6. The quantity cubed of 5 more than the product of 3 and a number. So start up here. The quantity means what? Parentheses, and the quantity what? Cubed, so that's the third power on the parentheses. Of means we're now going to go inside. 5 more than means what? Add. We're adding 5, and does it go on the left or the right? On the right. 5 more than the product of 3 and a number. How do I write the product of 3 and a number? 3x. There it is. That's the quantity cubed of 3x plus 5. Here's a practice problem. Try this and bring it up. Four more than the product of 7 and a number is 7x plus 4. If you put 4 plus 7x, I will give you credit. Here is the solution for the practice problem. 11 less than means you have minus 11 on the right. It's less than what? The quantity squared. There's 11 less than a quantity squared. Inside the parentheses, here's the indicator. 2 more than means plus 2, and then a number is x. Answer with A, B, C, or D out loud. You don't have to bring it up.
D.
D is right. 2 plus 2 would be 4. What would this one be? 5. Yes, 5 minus 4 would be 1. Negative 5 is right. Negative 5 plus 10 would be 5. All right, here's example 3. X minus 3. How would I write that? Yes.
3 less than a number.
Yes, 3 less than a number. And as with before, I don't expect you to write all this out. I'll write it out, but if we wait, then it'll drag on and you have a less of a chance of understanding it. 4x plus 2. How would I write that? 4x plus 2. Watts.
2 more than 4 times a number.
2 more than 4 times a number is right. You could also say 2 more than the product of 4 and a number. That would be right as well. How would I write this? Yes.
So the quantity squared of
The quantity squared of 2 more than a number. Okay. And you could also say the quantity squared of the sum of a number and 2. That would also be fine. Example 4. 2x minus 1. How would I write this one? Yes.
1 less than the product of 2 and number.
That's right. 1 less than the product of 2 and a number. There is another way as well. You could say the difference of the product of 2 and a number and 1, and that would be confusing. So that's why we use this way. If you use it the other way, it's rather confusing. What about this one? 2 minus 3x. How could I write that out? Yes. What?
Would it be the product of 3 and a number less than 2?
The product of 3 and a number less than 2. Technically, you could make a case that that's right, but it's confusing. You can say this a simpler way using a word that starts with D. You got it?
Yeah.
What is it?
The difference between 2 and the product of 3 and a number.
The difference of 2 and the product of 3 and a number. That is right. Okay. What about this one? How would I write this one out? Yes.
The quantity squared of the difference of 5 and a number minus 2.
Your first part is right, but when you get to the minus 2, that's where it's going to change the meaning of all of it. If you rotate it, you might be able to do it. Yes. You reverse that. Instead of less than 2, 2 less than. 2 less than what? Less than the quantity squared of what? Of 5 less than a number. Yeah, you can say that. Or you could say 2 less than the quantity squared of the difference of a number and 5. All right, here's practice 3. You got to write this out, so write neatly. For the practice problem, 2 less than is where you should start. And then we're going to go to this, which means 2 less than the quantity what? Squared of what?
3 less than.
3 less than a number. The answer to this one should be 37. Oh.